Welcome everyone to Therapist Supporting Therapists. I am your host, Michelle Lundstrom, and today we have Lisa R. Berman with us, and she is the owner and founder of Laughter Yoga NYC, and she has her master's in social work and is a certified laughter yoga teacher. She supports people on their journey through corporate and professional development. She spent 7 years in social work and then ran to the hills to advertising. After 30 years in advertising, she's moving back into social work as a marketing director for a therapeutic boarding school. Her passion is in teaching laughter yoga and connecting with others in a way to empower them and have fun doing so. She has been a laughter yoga teacher for close to 4 years now, and she facilitates laughter yoga in many ways. It can be used for employee groups as a bonding experience, for corporate icebreakers, and a way to help individuals connect with themselves on a deeper level. Welcome, Lisa.
Hi, Michelle. How
Hi,
are you?
I'm so excited. I'm doing well. I'm just so excited that you're here.
Oh, thank you. I'm excited to be here.
Yes. So earlier this week, you gave me this wonderful opportunity to join in on one of your classes, and it was on Zoom. And I was truly impressed that I had one of those days where I saw 7 clients, and then I immediately rushed into your Zoom room. And I had no idea what to expect other than, okay, I'm going to have an open mind and I'm going to let myself look silly.
Perfect. Perfect.
Yes, afterwards though, I was in such a good mood. And another thing that I really noticed, and this struck me, was you led the whole thing, and so there wasn't a whole lot of interaction in that particular group, and yet I felt really connected to the other people in the
Mhm.
group, and I had this sense that I liked them even though I hadn't interacted with them at
Right.
all.
So, one of the things about laughter yoga is that there is a release of both endorphins and oxytocin. And the oxytocin would, on a physiological basis, explain why you felt connected to other people. Um, But beyond that, it's just when you're laughing, it makes you feel good. It's what it's like? Sensory, it's like sensory leading your
Mhm.
emotions rather than when you have a traditional therapy
Mhm.
and you process different experiences and you come up with different feelings and hopefully emotions will follow a resolution of some conflicts.
Mhm.
Here, it's like you're telling your body you're happy by the act of laughing. And
Yes.
because you're doing it with other people, there's a certain camaraderie.
Mhm.
And it does happen like that. There are people like I've been doing this group, this Wednesday night group for close to 4 years. And I don't know much about a lot of the people. Some of the people I do know more about, but some of them I don't know anything about,
Mhm.
but they're my laughter yoga friends.
I love that.
Yeah.
Yes. So before we go any deeper on how much it can help us to heal and release oxytocin, can you tell us a little bit? Because I'm sure not everyone here understands or knows what laughter yoga is. So can you tell us a little bit about what it is?
Sure, sure. So laughter yoga is a practice, and it was started 25 years ago in India by a medical doctor, Madan Kataria, and 4 friends of his and his wife. And Dr. Kataria was writing a medical journal. He was editing a medical journal and had come across the concept of laughter is the best medicine.
Mm.
I think it was in the 90s. There was a man named a writer named Norman Cousins who became very, very ill with ankylosing spondylitis and had a very bad prognosis. And he decided he was checking himself out of the hospital and he was going to cure himself. And he got videotapes and checked into a hospital and just watched comedies.
Nice.
And what he said was that like half an hour of laughing gave him like 2 hours of pain-free sleep.
Oh, beautiful.
So Dr. Kataria had this concept about laughter is the best medicine, and he kind of tried to set out to prove it. So he and these friends went to a park every day for 5 days, and they told jokes. And on the fifth day, they found out that they had run out of jokes. So Dr. Katari was really stressing out about, well, what were they going to do? They didn't have any more jokes. And he came up with this idea of, let's just laugh. We'll just laugh anyway. And that was kind of the beginning. And it was just like 5 people in a park. And laughter yoga now truly is a global phenomenon where there are people all over the world who practice laughter yoga. With the COVID crisis, it's really kind of consolidated the laughter yoga community because there's been so much more online. And as you know, there's no boundaries or borders.
Yes.
And then laughter is, you can speak laughter in any language. You don't need a special language. What it is it's a unique concept where we laugh as exercise. We don't have jokes, comedy, or humor. We just laugh as exercise. And we make eye contact with other people, and you can do it effectively virtually. And I'm so glad you came to the meeting with an openness and a willingness to look, as you said, silly. We like to say you need a childlike playfulness.
Mm-hmm.
But you need to be open to looking silly, feeling silly. I had a very hard time when I first got to it because I could not move that judgmental part of myself. And I looked around and I just judged all of it in a very harsh way. And then I left and like you did, I felt great. So I was really kind of stuck because I felt great, but I thought everybody looked like ridiculous. Because what happens is you laugh as exercise, you start laughing as exercise, you make eye contact, and the laughter becomes contagious and it becomes real. So you start out going, ha, 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 ha. But then with everybody else, it becomes real. And it doesn't matter. I mean, laughter yoga is based on the principle that it doesn't matter whether it's real or fake. Your body reacts the same way.
Yeah, that's beautiful. And I love that in the practice, right? It was that ha ha ha. And at first it felt so fake and so forced. And then next thing I knew, I was watching other people just bust out laughing, and I moved into genuine laughter.
That was really you're lucky that your response came that quickly, because for many people they don't laugh at all the first time. It might take several times. And what happens also, like any practice, you get better at it. So the more you practice it, the more you come to a laughter yoga meeting, or you can even do it on YouTube with some of the other people doing laughter yoga. But the more you do it, the closer you become to laughing.
Yes, I love that. And I think if I had done this experience even, 5-10 years ago, I wouldn't have had that response. But fortunately, I've done a lot of healing work on my inner child, and I let her out to play now. So,
Oh, that's great. That's really great.
That part, yes.
One of the things too that happens, and this is another way of looking at it, is that, we have the fight, flight, or freeze reaction. And of course, that's the amygdala, and the amygdala has gotten a lot of play lately, especially with like polyvagus theory. And trauma-informed theory. And what happens in laughter yoga is that it seems like it softens up the amygdala.
Oh, wonderful.
So, what happens though is that it makes you much more open and more reachable, more vulnerable. But it can set off another alarm in people.
Oh, I see.
Because the reason we have that kind of shell and protectiveness is to protect ourselves. So even in terms of your feeling that connection with other people, I would attribute to that, some of it, to that softening of that shell. It's also why it makes it so amazingly powerful in a therapeutic environment. Like anybody who wants to do group work, if you start out with a couple minutes of laughter, you kind of form this cohesive group that might take, a couple weeks to develop otherwise.
Yeah, I can see how that would kind of cut through that storming stage a little bit and really get into building cohesiveness. Yeah.
And similarly, if you're doing individual while it's harder to do on a one-to-one, it can be done, and it helps you open up to yourself.
Mhm.
So if you're having some resistance, sometimes it helps bring up things that you're not even aware of that you have going on.
Yeah.
So it's really, it's terrific. There are many days that, I'm going to lead a group and I'm not in the mood.
Mhm.
I'm sure you can connect
Yeah.
with that, I'm not in the mood, but I do it because I have an obligation, and you show up.
Mhm.
And inevitably, by the end of the half hour, I am so happy that I've done it.
Yeah, that makes complete sense because honestly, when I joined your group, I was not in the mood. Yes, absolutely. I
Yeah.
can see that. So you've been quoted as saying it was a lucky accident that changed your life. So I'm really curious, how did this lucky accident, because you said you were reluctant and you were kind of judging like how
So,
everyone looked.
so I was taking yoga. I was working in the west side of Manhattan,
Mhm.
and I was taking just yoga a couple blocks from my office, like right after work. And it was the first time I had done yoga and kind of enjoyed it. Like the group was not all super skinny, people that just look gorgeous. It was like normal people. And I enjoyed it. So the class changed the time, and I could no longer make it. So I was in search of another yoga class, and I found Laughter Yoga. I had no idea what it was, but it was at a good time. It wasn't far from my office, and it was free. It was
Mhm.
donation based. So I said, okay, I'll check it out. And I went there like with no idea of what this was. And within a couple of minutes, like you start out doing stretching and breathing exercises, and then within a couple of minutes, people are walking around the room just laughing and cackling. Cackling would be the way I would describe it. And I was horrified.
Mhm.
And I didn't leave. My mother had taught me that it was rude to walk out, so I did not leave. And at the end, very often there's a time where you go around and kind of share your experience
Mhm.
of the class. And it was an Indian gentleman who was teaching the class, and he got up to me and I said, I think that was really stupid. If I want to laugh, I'll just listen to comedy on Pandora. That was my response. And he explained to me, that when you listen to comedy, you'll usually laugh for about 4 seconds.
Mhm.
That people don't always find the same things funny, like in comedy.
Yeah.
In order to get the benefits of laughter yoga, you need between 10 and 15 minutes of laughing,
Mhm.
which it's hard to get,
Yeah.
just watching something. So I left, and on the bus ride home, I was listening to YouTube to some, it was like a talk that Dr. Kataria, who is the founder, gave to a group of medical students.
Yeah.
And he kind of explained some of it, and I said, oh, okay. Like I noticed how I felt good on the
Mhm.
bus.
Yeah.
So it took me 3 weeks to come back. And I brought a friend with me, and the gentleman leading, his name was Vishwa, said to me, you look familiar. Like I said, yeah, I'm the one who said this was really stupid. And that was it. And so I started coming more often, and then I became a laughter yoga leader, which is a weekend of training. And then about a year later, I went to India and studied with Dr. Kataria for 5 days and become a laughter yoga teacher.
Wow, you went big. Like you
I
traveled
went
all
big,
the way
yeah.
to
So,
India. Wow, isn't that
well,
amazing?
so what happens now is I can train people to
Mhm.
become laughter yoga leaders to spread it.
So if
Yeah.
somebody watching wants to become a laughter yoga leader and maybe incorporate this into their practice, do they have to have any like previous yoga teacher or instructor
Oh,
training?
no, no, no. This is a totally separate practice.
Mhm.
And it does not involve, as you experience, it does not involve any poses.
Yeah.
You don't need like any yoga clothes. You don't need mats.
Mhm.
It's good for any level of fitness.
Mhm.
Um, so you don't have to have any kind of precursors. You just have to be willing to be open
Mhm.
and not to be concerned with how you look.
Yeah. So I'm assuming with the pandemic, you're probably not doing in-person leader training. Do you do private training if somebody wants that?
I could do that, sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, if there's like different levels, like if somebody wanted to be a laughter yoga leader, it's a weekend of training. If
Mhm.
somebody wanted to incorporate some laughter yoga, I could do a private training probably in the course of a day.
Oh,
You wouldn't
beautiful.
necessarily be certified, but you could certainly use it as a tool.
Mhm.
Um, yeah,
Wonderful. That is so interesting. I just think that's so neat that you went so big. You went all the way to India to learn this. So I mean, and bring this expertise back to the States. I love that.
yeah, it was great. It was really great.
You were talking earlier about laughter being the best medicine, and that's a saying that we have so much in our culture. And I know that there
Yes,
are therapists that like to incorporate humor into their sessions, but I'm also thinking like for them. So the audience here is all mental health providers, and lately there's kind of this big thing about like therapists are burning out and they're tired, and we're getting so many calls a day. Um, so for their own kind of self care, is this
yes,
something that they could do?
absolutely. Laughter yoga really is a great way to decompress and for one's self-care. I mean, I would be very happy to provide groups specifically for therapists to help with that. I've been seeing on a lot of the listservs
Mhm.
um, that, as you said, that therapists are getting way too many calls and their practice is full, and they can't, work to the bone
Mhm.
because, sometimes they'll take on extra clients because a colleague
Yeah.
asked them to, and, you know, but it's not necessarily a good thing. And then our usual ways of self-care are limited now. So this is a very, very powerful way to help, and especially if you're with other like-minded people.
Yes, and I
Like I
love
have
that.
my typical,
Yeah, that you're willing to do a group for therapists because we do tend to feel more comfortable, right, when we're kind of in a
uh-huh.
group. So yeah, everybody, if you want to get in one of her therapists only classes, then please would they email you or reach out to you on your website?
Yeah, that would be fine.
Okay,
Sure.
wonderful. All right. That's so exciting. Well, thank you for offering that for this group, because I think that a lot of people could really use that. One of the things that kind of led me down this path was I've been teaching a lot of we need novelty. We've all been locked up in our houses, and we really need
Yes.
novelty. And I was thinking, okay, self-care is something that as mental health providers, we all are teaching all of the time. What could I possibly find for everybody that would be novelty, right? And then I thought, I came across this laughter yoga, and I'm like, yes, this is it. I don't think anyone is sitting and maybe some are, but getting themselves to laugh for that 15 to 20-minute time frame.
Hmm.
That's not something we normally do. So I think this is wonderful, and this is something new that people can add to their toolbox, not only for their clients but for themselves.
I have to say that I think that what I have found also is that with certain groups of people, it's even more challenging. For
Mhm.
example, in corporations, executives very often have a very difficult time letting go
Mhm.
and maybe looking foolish. And I suspect with a lot of therapists, it's similar because we tread so close to the edge so often.
Mhm.
Um, it can be scary
Yeah.
to kind of let go and let down our authority position that we, typically use in our work.
Yeah.
And that is why I guess it's so much safer to do with colleagues. But I invite you to reach out. Should I give you my email?
I have your email and your website, and I'm going to put all that information right below this video. So if you're having trouble finding her contact information, just write a message if you're on the Facebook group, and I will get her information out to you. So yeah, we can get that out. I was thinking we tend to go to these conferences out of state, out of wherever we live, and kind of let our hair down. And so I kind of encourage everyone to join her group and just let your hair down, just as if you're at an out of town conference. It's on Zoom. Your clients aren't going to see you.
Right. I did a session for Sloan Kettering Hospital for their employees. Mm-hmm. And similar to what I was saying about how difficult it can be, about half of them would not put the video on. And a big part of this is the eye contact, and it's helpful when we have an expression called a laughter blaster. Nice. And a laughter blaster is somebody who has just a wonderful laugh, which inspires other people to laugh. Mm-hmm. So we had all these people, and we couldn't, it was harder to connect because these people would not turn their video on.
Oh no. So, yes, we got to let our hair down and be silly. Yes, let our inner children out. Yeah, that's right. So I was thinking, someone who's feeling numb, because a lot of therapists are kind of overwhelmed to the spectrum of numb right now, and as are our clients. So if somebody, because as you bring that up, I think about that. If somebody is really numb, and I'm wanting them to kind of laugh, are they able to kind of break through that?
So that is a really great question. And it's also very perceptive, because sometimes what has happened is people have started to laugh, and then they've told me after they felt like crying. Mm-hmm. And it's not unusual because it's going through the numbness. Mm-hmm. And if you're going to have some feelings, you can't pick and choose.
Yeah.
Which feelings you're going to have. So, but again, in terms of a therapeutic process, you can get through the numbness. And the other part is what we do at the end of the sessions is we try to help people close up again so they can go out and not be going out in a super open, vulnerable state. Mm-hmm. What it does is allow people to get in touch with their feelings, their laughter, their sadness, and then learn how to turn it off. Mm-hmm. But it's an encouragement to have that accessibility to oneself. Yeah. It's almost like practice that you can generalize to other situations.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I suppose it would also be good for breath work, right? You were yes. In class, it wasn't like I had to just fake a laugh. You kind of helped walk us through getting us there. There's kind of that ha, 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 that kind of gets that diaphragm going. But I think of that diaphragm breath and how important that is. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, there's pranayama breathing in it, which is part of why the yoga connection is. I mean, I'll do different things in different classes. So sometimes we'll do alternate nostril breathing. Mm-hmm. Sometimes we'll just teach deep breathing, and I will often remind people that this is something they can do even without the laughter, that it's very useful. And laughter, when you talk about breathing, laughter actually is a form of breathing. Mm-hmm. Because inhalation is active, exhalation is passive typically. But when you choose to laugh and you have an intentional laugh or a fake laugh, what you're doing is a forced exhalation. So it's a form of breath work.
Oh, beautiful. I love that. All right. So I also read on your website that this is a really great treatment for depression.
Uh-huh.
Can you speak a little bit to that?
Sure. I mean, it goes back to what we were saying about the numbness.
Yeah.
That very often, depression is just kind of a slowing down of feeling state. Mm-hmm. And sometimes when you come into a laughter yoga class, aside from the fact that it will help you feel good, and maybe you haven't felt good in a long time, so it'll kind of expose you to feeling good again. And again, it's a feeling good from the top down.
Yeah.
You're not sitting and thinking about all the conditions and situations, or maybe using some CBT or other techniques. You are just laughing. You're coming out with the outcome, and you're telling your body that you're happy. And even if it's just for a little while, it's kind of a glimpse, and it helps. So
I love that. So I also saw something on there about like laughter decreases your production of cortisol. So does that mean like laughter yoga could help me lose weight?
Well, I don't know. I haven't seen any studies about that.
Yeah.
I mean, in terms of decreasing the cortisol, it should decrease inflammation, but I don't know how that plays into a weight strategy.
I was just thinking, you know, high cortisol levels can be linked to weight gain and memory loss and all kinds of things. So I thought, oh, this could help me like naturally lose some weight.
Okay.
Who knows? All right. Would you be willing to kind of give us a brief experience just of kind of what someone could expect if they came to one of your classes?
So you want me to like walk you through it?
Just
explain it?
Just however, whatever feels comfortable to you.
Sure.
To give everybody a little taste.
Okay. So when you come in, there's, I would ask you first I'd welcome you to the class. And what we did last week or this past week was introduce ourselves, go around the group and introduce ourselves and say something about ourselves. It could be as simple as my favorite color is pink, and then everybody would laugh.
Love it.
And the introduction is a nice way to kind of set it out. But the laughing is what we say is very often we take ourselves very seriously.
Yeah.
And in just the laughing is a way to kind of break that down a little bit. And then I would introduce you to laughter yoga, introduce you to the benefits of laughter yoga, many of which we've spoken about here, and why we practice laughter yoga instead of just watching a comedy on TV. And then I would take you through the 4 steps of laughter yoga. And the 4 steps are stretching and breathing. I don't know if I can do it like just on here.
That's okay. It'd be hard. I should have invited some people on at the end, and we could have had a.
Oh yeah. Experience. Oh yeah.
Yes, but everybody, you've got to try this. Like, just like come out of your comfort zone a little bit. You've got to try this. It is so worth it. And yeah, I don't. Yeah, you're right. Like, I don't know how we do it, just us, because.
Well, I have done it just with one person, but I'm just kind of.
Yeah. No, but the group really does. And being a part of that group helps me to kind of be able to speak to this, but the group energy really does. I mean, and there's, like you said, everyone kind of introduced themselves and it's like, oh, my favorite color is purple. And then everybody busts out in laughter. I mean, it's really connecting and it feels inclusive. It's like, you know, it's like this wonderful greeting to start the class.
When it's in person, it's even that much more powerful, because then we'll do high five laughter, or we'll do blowing up a balloon. Like it includes exercises. So I could do an exercise with you, for example, greeting laughter. We'll do that one, which is we're just going to wave to each other, look in each other's eyes, and laugh. And again, the laughter can be totally fake. You could just sit here and go, ha, 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 ha. So why don't we just wave to each other, look in each other's eyes, and laugh.
Oh, that's great.
So, yeah, well, that's just one of the exercises. There's like 100 foundation exercises, and then people make up exercises. But a lot of them, like you can watch a YouTube from anywhere in the world, and you'll see some of the exercises and you'll recognize them.
Yeah.
Because they're the same ones we use everywhere. And we teach people exercises to do. Like if you want to have a laughter break and you just by yourself and you're in an office or you're on the street, we'll teach you ways to do it so you don't look ridiculous. Ways to disguise your laughter break.
Oh, I love
And
that.
it inevitably gives you a break from whatever situation you're in. There is a sort of mindfulness aspect to it because you're retraining yourself instead of reacting to replace the reactionary behavior with laughter. And that gives you the extra 5 to 10 seconds to think about how you're going to react to something.
Genius. I love it.
Yep.
That's great. Oh my goodness, Lisa, I am so excited that we had you on here today. Is there anything you want to add before we wrap up today?
No, I just thank you very much for inviting me on the show. I think laughter yoga is a terrific practice. It's easy. It's, you don't need anything complicated to do it. And it really has enabled a tremendous turnaround in many people's lives. So I invite you and your audience to join in.
Yes, you guys need to try it. All right. Thank you, everybody, for watching Therapists Supporting Therapists. And please like and subscribe. Bye, guys.
Thank you.